She's like a sickness in my brain, a vision standing by the window pane. She ripples through the blinds and leaves me in a daze. It's in the way her body moves me, the way she grabs me and intoxicates, until the signals in my mind forget to operate. She'll put the pressure in your fragile skull. I take my pleasure from my alcohol. She'll never give you any time at all. She just comes in and goes, you know, and she's got me living in a chemical love, and I try to find the strength to know when she comes back to me again.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here with me today for a coffee and crime time. I'm actually in like a super good mood today, which is surprising because after I record this I have to go and give blood. Not to give blood, because I have to take a blood test. I hate needles. I hate giving blood, so I think I'm putting it off and like pretending it's not gonna happen. I'm a baby when it comes to needles. They don't even like to take my blood. When I come into that place, they're all like, not it, because they don't want to be the one that has to sit with me for 15 minutes while I freak out as soon as they put the needle near my arm. I'm just a baby. But anyways, before we get into our video today, I want to talk about our sponsor. We have a new sponsor and I'm so excited because this is actually a service that I use and I have used so much this month, because if you follow me on any social media, you'll know that I have been stepping out of my comfort zone as far as technology and new software. Most people try to learn one new skill at a time, but not me. I decided that I was going to try to learn Photoshop and Final Cut Pro in the same month at the same time, and it's been an experience, and it was hard. It was hard at first because I've been using iMovie, you know, since I've started my channel, and that was enough, but my computer crashed. I had to take it to the Apple store to get fixed. There was a bunch of stuff on it. They reset it, and at that point when it was clear, I was like, I should just start using Final Cut now, because I've been saying I'm going to forever, but my computer was just so full of stuff that it wasn't possible. And the main reason I wanted to use Final Cut was because iMovie, when I would do like an hour-long video, it would be saved on my computer as like a 62 gig file, which A, would take up a ton of space, and B, would take forever to upload to YouTube. That's why they would take hours, and like 12 hours. Now with Final Cut, they're rendered, or whatever it's called, onto the computer in like much smaller formats. So an hour video will be like 6 gigs, and they upload to YouTube so much faster. So it's gonna make life, it's like a game changer. So something good comes out of something that was kind of forced on you. But anyways, Final Cut was really hard for me to use. Photoshop was even harder. So I decided to go online and take some classes, because this was not something I was going to be able to do myself. If given time, I could definitely teach myself and learn like I did with iMovie and everything else, but I didn't have that time. So I started using Skillshare, and Skillshare is awesome, guys. So it's basically an online resource that has over 18,000 classes. Anything that you want to learn, you can learn on Skillshare. And I've been taking Photoshop classes, I've been taking Final Cut classes. I started with the basics, and now especially with Final Cut, because there's so much you can do with Final Cut Pro. I've been trying to learn other things that you can do with video editing, like more advanced things with Photoshop. I've been trying to learn more advanced things as well to make my thumbnails more interesting. So it's a work in progress, but Skillshare has made it so much easier, and it's only $10 a month, which isn't bad considering that you have unlimited access to all of their classes, and they have classes on everything. They have business classes, entrepreneurship, productivity, finance, freelance, leadership, management. They have lifestyle classes, gaming, cooking, crafts, health and wellness, how to run a home business, languages. They have stuff on like how to do calligraphy if you want, graphic design, illustration, music production, photography, writing. And their technology classes have obviously been the best options for me because I'm so technologically challenged. So there's all sorts of technology classes that you can take to help you with the things that you need when you're actually running a YouTube channel and you need to know about technology and Photoshop and Final Cut Pro and film production, time management, things like that. It's just super, super helpful. It's actually been a lifesaver for me. And there's a huge community at Skillshare because learning online can usually be a pretty passive experience, like just you. But Skillshare has 3 million plus members who are learning aside each other, and they can communicate with them, share their work, give each other feedback, share insights and learnings through discussions. So it's actually like being in a real college class online. That's what it feels like to me, because you have resources there and you have a community there with you. But anyways, if you are interested in checking Skillshare out and you are a viewer of Stephanie Harlowe, which you are, click the link in the description box, and Skillshare is going to give you 1 month free of premium service. So you have unlimited access to all the classes for a month. And if you don't like it, you don't have to continue. But if you do like it, then you should. All right, guys, let's get into the video. I am doing a coffee and crime time, and that should be out within the next couple of days, about the Michelle Carter and Conrad Roy case, the HBO documentary that just came out called I Love You, Now Die. It didn't just come out. I think it's been a couple of weeks, but I just watched it yesterday and today, and I could record a coffee and crime time and put it out for you now. But I figured that I already posted about this on Instagram, and a lot of people said they haven't seen it yet. So I wanted to give those who want to see it before seeing my coffee and crime time about it a chance to watch it before I just like spoil everything. So I'm going to record it probably tomorrow, and then I'll put it up probably on Wednesday. Okay, guys. So today we're talking about a very interesting case that I have kind of been following as it develops, and it's just crazy the way that it's been developing, and the more that's coming out about it, it's becoming this very insane and dramatic kind of story and situation, especially since it's been connected with and affiliated with the Highway of Tears. And if anybody's familiar with the Highway of Tears, you'll know what I mean, but I'm going to go into a little bit of explanation about that in a moment. Let me talk first about what happened. American tourist China Deese and her Australian boyfriend Lucas Fowler were discovered shot by their van on July 15th near what is called the Highway of Tears. Now, the Highway of Tears is a 450-mile corridor of Highway 16 between Prince George and Prince Rupert, British Columbia, Canada. And this has been the location of many murders and disappearances beginning in the 1970s. The phrase was coined in 1998 during a vigil held in Terrace, British Columbia, for 4 murdered and 2 missing women. Lucas and China were both described as free-spirited, kind, sweet people. They loved to travel. They often traveled the world together. They were spontaneous. You know, I get the impression that these are the kinds of people who would live out of their van and just park near the ocean and then just have like the Pacific Ocean as their backdrop. Like, these are the kinds of people that I think they were. They were cute. They seemed very much in love. And people who were close to them said that they were pretty much on the verge of getting engaged when their lives were cut short. They were found near the Liard Hot Springs, which is a popular tourist attraction in British Columbia. Another couple named Curtis and Sandra Broughton, I guess they had pulled over when they saw China and Lucas on the side of the road, and it appeared as if their van was broken down. But according to this couple, China and Lucas said, "Oh, we know how to fix this. We'll be fine. You know, thanks so much for stopping." And then they left and they moved on. The 2 suspects in their murders are 19-year-old Cam McLeod and 18-year-old Briar Shemelski, who are charged with the second-degree murder of another man last week named Leonard Dick of Vancouver. Now, these 2 teenagers have still not been apprehended, which has become a huge concern for the area since crime rates are typically low there, and there are potentially 2 murderers who have already taken 3 lives just roaming around. But what do we know about Cam and Briar? And I'm going to avoid saying Briar's last name as much as I can because literally it's one that I have a very hard time pronouncing. I don't know why. I have listened to it pronounced and I thought I had it, but I don't. So Briar's father said that the 2 of them had just graduated from high school and they had taken jobs at Walmart, but these jobs only lasted about 5 weeks before both of them quit. quit. According to Breyer's father, they said they weren't making enough money there, and they had to go to Alberta, Canada, where the real money was, so they traveled that way, and he assumed that they were staying with relatives of Cam's who lived in Alberta. He had been surprised to learn from the police upon the discovery of Leonard Dick's body that the boys were still in British Columbia. And it appeared what the two teens had in common, besides the fact that they were lifelong friends, was violent video games. A fellow online gamer showed a picture of Breyer dressed in camo, holding an airsoft rifle. There was Nazi symbolism clearly visible, and peers of his claimed that he gave off a weird vibe, and that when they would be playing these video games with him, he would make unsettling statements such as, what if this was real? So essentially, he got way too into the video games. Like, he was really excited about it. They'd be playing these shooting games, and he'd shoot somebody in the game, and he'd be like, what if this was real? What if I just shot somebody? Or what if these people were shooting at us, kind of thing. Kind of normal, but maybe not going forward with the rest of what we know about Breyer. Another man who had been communicating with Breyer a few months back said that they had initially met at a skate park, and then Breyer had reached out to him via Facebook and asked if he wanted to get together and discuss politics. So this other guy was like, yeah, sure. They got together, and according to this gentleman, Breyer was talking about politics, obviously, but very right-wing conservative, like uber conservative, talking about setting up a militia. It also appeared that Breyer was very impressed with the Nazi regime and would often talk to friends about the things that they did right. He was also a fan of the Russians. He was trying to learn the language and had been trying to learn the language for several years, and sometimes he would talk to his friends with a Russian accent. So these are obviously two governmental regimes that are probably not the best to look up to or try to model yourself or your country after. Now, the Nazis, clearly, they're bad people. And the Russians, I love Russia. I love Russian history. I love everything about Russian history. In fact, I know so much about Russian history. So I'm not saying anything bad about Russia today necessarily. So anybody who lives there or thinks I'm like trying to insult your country or your culture, I am definitely not. I love your country and culture. But what I'm saying is the government, like especially in the past when it was the Soviet Union, not the best form of government to model yourself after. That's all I'm saying. And the fact that Breyer was interested in starting a militia sort of proves what aspects of these governments he was focused on. Breyer's father said that his son had asked for an airsoft gun and he'd gotten him one. And he just assumed that he was playing with his friends, and Breyer would even tell him that they'd go out into the woods and they'd have like these fake battles with these airsoft guns. So I'm not familiar with airsoft guns, so I asked my husband, and he got really excited about it. He was like, oh yeah, it's awesome. Like, people get really into it. They spend a lot of money on these guns. Some of these guns look real. They go out and they have these leaks. And I'm like, yeah, but does it hurt to get shot with an airsoft gun? And he's like, yeah, it can hurt. Usually in these leaks, people wear, protection and stuff. But what we both kind of concluded is that an airsoft gun is a lot more realistic in these kinds of battles than maybe a paintball gun. So if you were trying to have a more realistic gunfight, I guess an airsoft gun would be the way to go. Now, Keith McLeod, Cam's father, he says he's just trying to wrap his head around the fact that, this is happening. He says that his son is a kind and considerate young man who's always been concerned about others. And it doesn't really seem as if there is as much incriminating evidence against Cam as there is about Breyer. His social media presence is pretty sparse, and he does have several online gaming accounts, but those who play with him online say he's just a normal kid, that he's happy and nice, and he's just normal. It seems that most of these reports coming in are about Breyer and his tendency towards violence. But how did two teenage boys just graduated from high school, lifelong friends, turn into murder suspects on the run? It started on July 19th. They were reported missing when the red and gray Dodge pickup truck with an attached camper that they were driving was found set on fire near Dease Lake. The body of Leonard was discovered less than a mile away. Leonard was a father of two and a botany professor at the University of British Columbia. He would often take solo camping trips, he was a nature lover, and he was on one of these trips when it is believed that he ran into these two teenage boys. The police were responding to the call of the car being on fire when a passing motorist stopped, pulled over, and said, hey, there's like a rest stop pullover about a mile back, and I think that I saw a body there. So at first, Cam and Briar were considered to be missing because of the condition that their car was in. When they found Leonard's body, it took them several days to actually identify him. And during that time, when they were identifying him, they pretty much continued to think that these kids were missing and something might have happened to them. But this past Tuesday, the authorities did say that there is a connection between the boys' disappearance and the death of Leonard Dick, meaning that they were responsible for it, allegedly. They had found the bodies of China and Lucas on the 15th, so 4 days before they found the truck that belonged to Cam and Briar, and they started putting two and two together. They had 3 dead bodies and 2 missing kids. And when they looked into the backgrounds of these kids, then it became more evident that they may be involved and responsible. On Tuesday, it was reported that they were last seen driving a 2011 gray Toyota RAV4, and that was in northern Saskatchewan. Later that day, it was reported that the suspects were now possibly in the area of Gilliam, Manitoba. Shortly after this announcement was made, Fox Lake Cree Nation officials said that they found a burned vehicle on their reservation and that it matched the description of the vehicle, the Toyota RAV4, that Cam and Briar had been spotted in last. On Saturday, it was reported that the Canadian authorities will be conducting a door-to-door search for these 2 kids over the next 3 days. A surveillance video of the 2 teenagers walking through a store was released as well this week, and it was taken last Sunday, so about a week ago. And they're just walking through the store. They appear to be completely normal, and of course, Briar is wearing his fatigues, his camo. At this point, the issue is that we have no idea where these kids might be, what their mission is, or what they're going to do next. They've already allegedly killed 3 people, so they don't have a problem doing that. And people are scared. People in Canada right now in that area, they're terrified because these kids are on the loose, and who knows what's going to happen. It's believed that they may have altered their appearance. They may have been given assistance by somebody who didn't know what they'd done before it was as widely reported as it is now. In my opinion, I am almost wondering if they kind of scouted things out, found maybe a single person living alone somewhere kind of out in the woods or the wilderness, because there's a lot of that in that area, and, broke into their house, and maybe they're holding that person captive because they're going to need shelter and they're going to need food. And at this point, with the publicity that has been going around about them, with their faces on the news and in newspapers, they're not going to be able to get that stuff themselves. What the heck is going on with Cam, right? Briar, we know, has some tendencies, likes guns, talking about the Soviets and the Nazis and talking about, killing people and getting really into it. But Cam was always just described as nice and normal and quiet, and it didn't seem like he had any of these incidents in his past. Is Cam going along with this? He's not seen in the store wearing camo or fatigues. Is he going along with this with Briar, or is Briar maybe forcing him to? Is Cam also a prisoner? I mean, there is so much about this case that hasn't been released yet, so there's a lot of speculation on my part at this point. But I would really like to know more about why Cam may have gone along with this plan. Or did it just happen in front of him? Did Briar shoot somebody in front of him and then Cam felt like he had to go along, or he wouldn't be safe? I don't know. I looked into this yesterday, so I'm going to really quick Google and see if anything new has come out today, because this is the kind of story where new things are popping up all the time. Okay, so see, something happened 40 minutes ago. So it says Canada murder suspect hunt focuses on York Landing, Manitoba for individuals matching the description. And it says a small community in the Canadian province of Manitoba has been swarmed by authorities after possible sightings of 2 young men suspected in the killings of 3 people. Situation is ongoing. The RCMP Manitoba tweeted, all possible RCMP resources continue to be used in the area of York Landing to safely apprehend 2 individuals matching the description of the suspects. Now, this area, York Landing, is about 56 miles away from Gilliam, which was where they were last spotted. A law enforcement source says that the authorities received a strong lead that the pair may be in or near the community, and pretty much the weather conditions in that region, in that area right now, are pretty bad. There's heavy rain, heavy wind, so they would definitely be looking to find shelter somewhere. And then the law enforcement source says, we believe based on their description and behavior that it's not so good. Hopefully they'll apprehend them like today or tomorrow. It will happen soon, and we can kind of get to the bottom of why this happened. If both Cam and Briar were equally involved, once again, in that store, they both looked completely normal. They didn't seem to be scared. Nobody seemed to be kind of leading or forcing the other, but we never know. We won't know until we get a hold of them and talk to them. What do you guys think about this? Do you think, or are you of the mindset that violent video games cause kids to be violent, or are you of the mindset that violent kids gravitate towards violent video games? Personally, I don't know where I stand. I think I stand more on the side of violent kids are attracted to violent video games, and maybe not even that. I'm definitely not the kind of person who's out there saying that video games cause kids to do stupid things or to kill people, that this is the reason why they go out and do that. I don't think that. And it's probably because I've always been a big video game lover and a big gamer forever. I had an older brother who's 10 years older than me, and he was a big gamer. And I mean, I always loved all of the games, and not just Mario Brothers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved all of them. I worked at this nightclub that doesn't exist anymore, but the nightclub used to be, it was called Jillian's, and it had an arcade and a bowling alley and a billiards area and a nightclub and a restaurant, and I was the manager, and this was probably when I was like 21, 22, and I spent all my time in the arcade playing Time Crisis and House of the Dead. I loved those games, and I was good at them. And they're shooting games, but I didn't feel like after I was done playing them for hours, which was really bad. I shouldn't have been doing that. I had the card where you could just stick it in and play as much as you want. I probably should have been doing my job. I didn't feel like when I left playing those video games that I was like, let's go shoot somebody, or I'm really feeling violent right now. In fact, I almost felt like it was cathartic, like it got rid of any aggression or stress I had, but it could affect people differently. What do you guys think? I also have a young son. He doesn't play like shooting games that are very popular right now. He plays like Spider-Man's one of his favorite. He likes Plants vs. Zombies, things like that. But any game, any really video game like that is going to be violent. Like Spider-Man's knocking out bad guys because that's his job. And Plants vs. Zombies, you're shooting zombies as plants and you're trying to kill the zombies. So there's always some sort of violent, like we got to get them aspect to the games. But I don't find that it makes him more aggressive. I think he's aggressive and active in the way that a normal 7-year-old is. But it's highly debated. Even if you Google it, it literally will show you one article. This article from Forbes says, new study shows that there's no link between violent video games and aggression in teenagers. And then another one, literally from Scientific American, which was from the year before, but still it says, yes, violent video games trigger aggression, but debate lingers. So the newest article, I guess, would be the Forbes one that says that the new study shows there's no link between violent video games and aggression. So I guess here's my thought. If you're already a violent kid or a violent teenager and you already have these intense aggressive feelings and these thoughts, and you play these video games, it may exacerbate it. But I don't think just any kid going and playing these games is going to leave and turn into like somebody who's going to shoot up a place. That's pretty much my feelings. And this video is going to be demonetized because I have said the word gun and shoot so many times that it's over. But regardless, it's an important case to talk about, especially if you're in that area. Please keep a lookout and please be very, very careful. Let me know what you guys think about this, the whole are video games violent debate. Where do you land on it? Do you have experience with it? What do you think about this case in general? Do you think that Briar and Cam are equally involved, or is Briar maybe a little bit more involved than Cam? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and have an amazing day. Stay kind and stay beautiful. I'm gonna go get a needle put in my arm now. I'm just definitely, that's gonna demonetize me as well. Stay kind and stay beautiful. Bye.